and welcome to the Recruitment CEO's Insider Podcast. I'm Jane Pettit. It's lovely to have you here with me today. And today, as always, I am talking about something that I am hugely passionate about. And it's about new business development. As a business owner within the recruitment industry, how are we doing BD? Now, in 2025, I think probably 99% of the clients that I coached and trained came to me and said, we need to win new business. Like, we need to get back on the phone. We need to get the team cold calling. We need new revenue streams. Because let's face it, 2025 was a bit of a challenging economic year. And as we go into 2026, the narrative is starting to sound relatively similar. We need to get new business. And here's the thing, most of the clients that I work with have a theory that getting new business has to be really cold and it's hard work. And what I want to talk about today is how can we make business development easier and more effective for your recruitment business? So what I'm going to look at today, I'm going to dive straight in, is I want to talk about how we can make BD easier and warmer. Because cold BD is hard. Now, I think I say this quite a lot on the podcast, but I'm old. I started in recruitment when I had a telephone on my desk, not a mobile, a Rolodex, and a Yellow Pages. And for those of you that don't know what a Yellow Pages is, it's a great big phone directory where I would go through and call businesses. And I was targeted to do 80 cold calls a day. And off the back of those 80 cold calls, I would expect to identify 2 vacancies. So if we do the maths, 80, 60... off the back of 200 calls for every, no, not 200 calls. Oh my goodness, here's something I should have prepped earlier. Oh my goodness. So if I was doing 80 cold calls, every 200 calls, I expected to win a vacancy. It's a lot of calls. And the role of a recruiter is bigger nowadays. There's much more to do. And I'm a big fan of doing things the easiest way possible. So what we're going to talk about today is how we can make business development easier. So I'm going to talk about referrals. I'm going to talk about the power of referrals for finding new clients. Then I'm going to talk about building consistent habits and systems to keep your pipeline flowing. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about overcoming psychological and operational barriers that many business owners face. And I can give you some examples and success stories as we run through. So let's first of all deal with this myth and this concept that business development has to be cold. Everybody in recruitment has a network. Everybody in recruitment has someone they can ask a referral for. But here's the true reality. People only refer when they are extraordinarily happy, when they have been given an experience that has far surpassed their expectations. Now, I'm not saying that you don't do that as a recruitment company, but unless you do that time and time again, your clients are walking away happy, but they're not walking away knocking everybody's door saying, you need to go work with these guys. These guys are exceptional. So we have to create that into a process. So the first thing that I look at when I start to build in business development strategies with the business owners that I work with is I look at how can we make more from where we are now. So picture this, you've just placed a great candidate with a client. Everybody's happy. Everybody's feeling good. Now, both that client and that candidate can lead you to your next opportunity. That is the magic of referrals. And for many small recruitment agencies, referrals are a game changer in driving client acquisition. Why? It's trust. When somebody vouches for you, new prospects are far more likely to listen. I think it's something silly like referrals account for 65% of all new business opportunities for businesses on average. And I think it must be way over 50% of small businesses say that referrals are their top source of new clients. So that's more than half of us getting business through word of mouth. And that's more than half of us doing it potentially without a systemized process behind it. So what would happen if we systemize it? Referrals come with an endorsement. It's like being introduced by a mutual friend. If somebody says, look, we worked with this recruiter and they did a fantastic job for us, you're going to move to the top of their contact pile. Referrals typically can be converted higher. I think I did some prep work before this, and data shows that referrals are up to 5 times more likely to convert into a client than leads from other channels. So think about that return on investment. If you're not spending extra on ads or cold outreach, when a happy client or a happy candidate is basically your brand ambassador. So referral marketing isn't just effective, it's efficient. If you're a small agency with a limited budget, gaining a new client via referral can save you both money and time. One statistic that I found before I came onto the podcast today was that 82% of employers believe referrals offer the highest ROI in recruiting. But here's my question to you. How do you use referrals proactively? Let me give you an example. I went out for dinner last week to a new Italian that has opened in my local village. It was fab. Like, I had pizza. It was delicious. Ham and pineapple. I am very much of the category that pineapple does belong on a pizza, but it was gorgeous. It was really good. The new restaurant was pretty. It was clean. It was open. It had fab staff. Like, there were so many good things I could say about this place. It was, I will go back. It was fabulous. However, I haven't referred them to anybody. And it's not that they're not deserving of it. They were really good. I really enjoyed the food. I just haven't really seen anybody. And also, nobody has asked me. Nor so has the restaurant. Now, let's just imagine that the Italian restaurant called me the day after. So I go out for a meal. I went out on a Thursday night. I took the kids. It was lovely. I had a great experience. My pizza was delicious. The staff were amazing. The restaurant was beautiful. I haven't referred them. But then they call me. They didn't, by the way, but let's say they did. They call me the day after and just say, "Hi, we're a new restaurant. We would love to know what you thought of us last night." I go, "Do you know what? You were great. Pizza was bloody lovely. Thank you for that. Your staff was fab. Restaurant was really clean and tidy. Loved it." They go, "Cool. I'm really pleased you say that. What else can we do to improve?" Nothing. You're fab. Fab. We're a small business and we're looking to grow. We're looking to make a real dent in this town. The best way that we can grow is through the power of referrals. What we are asking all our customers who've had a great experience with us is, would they refer us? If we were to send you a text message, would you be happy to forward it on to 5 of your friends? Yeah, absolutely. Of course I would. So let's put this back into the recruitment concept. What I've just tried to explain to you there is how we use referrals as process. So how we follow up, how we start to take somebody's enjoyment of our service and put it into a BD technique. So if you are managing a recruitment company, are your consultants proactively going back to happy candidates and happy clients and asking them to refer them? And are they making it easy? So in my example of the Italian restaurant, the guy said that he'd send me a text I could forward on, which means I didn't have to use any brain power. I just had to whack that out to my network. So how can we do that in recruitment? So if we're speaking to a happy candidate, we want more candidates like you. Can I please send you an email for you to share with your local network with my contact details, and these are the types of roles that I recruit in? Can you please give me the details of people as good as you are, and I will follow up? Whatever that looks like, we have to dictate that narrative. And likewise with clients. Now, clients are a fantastic opportunity to get more referrals when we start to think smart about it. So if I'm having a conversation with one of my clients and I'm going to ask them for a referral, I'm going to get very specific. So I could say to client A, how have you found working with us so far? Good. Excellent. Tell me, where else can I improve? What could I do better? How can I be a better recruitment partner for you? Yeah, we'll take that on board. That's fantastic. Whilst I've got you, Mr. Client, can I just check if the opportunity ever arose, would you recommend us? Yes. Excellent. I am really pleased you said that, Mr. Client. Because actually I noticed on your LinkedIn profile that you are highly connected within the aerospace industry. And that's an area that I am trying to grow and target this year. Tell me, who are the top 5 players in that sector that I should be speaking to? Brilliant. And who are the people that I would need to contact within that? And are you happy for me to drop your name? This is how we start to make referrals targeted. Now, I mentioned right at the very start, I said happy clients and happy candidates, and I mentioned about being placed candidates or placed clients. I just want to get really clear here. You don't have to just do this with people that you've placed. I have lots of happy candidates that have worked with me that I never found a job for, but they got a great service from me. And likewise, I've had clients that I haven't placed their roles, but they still had a great service from me, and I can still ask for referrals. It's just about knowing the when and the where and process mapping that in. So I always do a service level review when I close off a role, whether I place it or if I don't place it, still do a service level review. And that's a great opportunity for me to ask for a referral. If I've got a client if I've got a candidate that has been placed, then I will pick up with that client on start date, after month 1, month 3, month 6. So it gives me lots of opportunities to keep asking for a referral. And let's remember that referrals offer the highest ROI in recruitment. Referrals are 5 times more likely to convert into clients. And over 52% of us as small businesses know that referrals are the way to grow our market. So it's all about asking for this proactively and then making it a habit. Absolutely making it a habit. You can consider a formal referral program if you want to. Personally, I just think that if you deliver a good service and you ask people to refer you, that can be the difference that makes the difference. Referrals may be the easiest sale that you'll ever make, which is why most of us don't think about them when we start to think about new business development. Referrals drive a warm lead to your doorstep with trust absolutely baked in. So if you're not actively cultivating referrals this year, then you are leaving money on the table and you are pausing your growth. So straight away, at the start of 2026, I'd be looking back at 2025 at my network of happy clients and placed candidates and happy candidates and turning them into your unofficial sales team. I think the saying is, don't hunt alone when your allies can bring you dinner. So that's what I want you to think about in this first section of the podcast. If you're going into 2026 going, we've got to grow, we've got to do more new business, we've got to, hammer the phones. First of all, I would look at your network and look at how proactively you have asked to be referred and who you have asked to be referred to. Are you specific in your targeting? And then as we move on, business development isn't a one-time sprint. It is a marathon of consistent little steps. So consistency is king when it comes to BD in 2026. Many small recruitment agency owners operate in a bit of a feast or famine mode. You know the drill. You're flush with active roles to fill. You stop selling, you just deliver. And then a few months later, you're like, I've got no jobs. The pipeline is dry. And that coins the phrase that I hate. It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster that we choose to ride time and time again. Fact. Most recruitment companies struggle to maintain a predictable client pipeline and they fall into that feast or famine trap. The key to stability in a recruitment business is consistent habits and systems and not making it too tricky. If we go back to what I was saying about using referrals as a strong BD technique, you're not adding to your workload there. If you're doing a service level review with a client, you should be doing it. You're asking for a referral. If you're screening candidates about a job, you can ask them for a referral. If you're touching base with your client in the delivery process, you can ask them for a referral. So therefore, we aren't having to break away and do 80 cold calls to win the business because we've incorporated BD into our service delivery. But it's got to be consistent. It has to be consistent. And why does consistency matter so much? I mean, again, data gives you a clear picture. And this comes down again to your processes. And I'm sorry, I do make recruitment boring, but companies that put a defined sales process in place typically grow revenue 18% faster than those that wing it. So if you're listening to this right now thinking, Jane, I'm winging it, now it's time to stop and put a process into place. So in our context, this means that if you have a repeatable BD routine, a simple plan for outreach and follow-up, that can directly boost your business's growth rate. Consistency beats intensity. A recent study shows that it takes now between something like 12 to 30 touch points in an attempt to close a business-to-business deal. So that's calls, emails, LinkedIn messages, leaflets, etc. Yeah, it's something terrifying, like 44% of salespeople give up after one attempt. So the lesson, a consistent follow-up system will outshine one and done efforts. Persistence will pay. And that's been true for as long as what I've been in recruitment. But if we go back to the referral, I grew my business through referral. I still work through referral, but my clients would get bored of hearing me. So when I worked in recruitment, when I took the vacancy from a client, thank you for your time today, Mr. Client. I'm looking forward to getting started on this. Whilst I've got you, I've got space for probably one, maybe two other roles to work on at this moment in time. Specifically, I'm looking to grow within this area. Tell me, who are the top players in that market and who do you know that you could introduce me to? Referral point one. When I'm introducing my candidates, I'm back in the Zoom room, or even better, face-to-face. I'm telling the client about the candidates that I want him to interview. Then when we get to the end of that meeting, thank you for your time today. It's been great. I look forward to scheduling the interviews. Whilst I've got you, as always, I am going to pick your brains if that's okay. I've probably got space now for one more vacancy to work on. And obviously you've been really helpful so far. Tell me, who else do you know could benefit from the service that I give? When I place the candidate, how have you found the service? What could I do better? And tell me while I've got you. I want my name to echo in my clients' ears that they know I'm always going to ask for a referral. So much so, they're so used to the question that eventually they just send me the referrals without me asking. This is consistency in practice. Now, leaning back into consistency for a small recruitment business, here's what I'd start to think about when we're doing BD and we want to do consistency. It's first of all, schedule your sales time. We talked before about the roller coaster and how much I loathe that terminology. We get on that roller coaster and we choose to ride it. You can choose to get off and ride the monorail, but you are going to have to put some boundaries in place. So for example, you might set 9 till 10 o'clock every day for outreach and follow-ups without fail. It's non-negotiable. It doesn't matter about delivery. Delivery starts from 10. Consistency here means that even if you've got interviews to arrange or offers to close, that hour is sacred. And as a business owner, that's one of the first things that I would teach to my team. Having a decent CRM helps. Don't need fancy software if you're just starting out. A spreadsheet, Trello board could work. But what you do want to do is track your data. So you want to track how many times, if we use referrals, for example, how many times do you ask for a referral and how many does it take to convert? So again, if we go back to my old days of BD, it took me 200 cold calls to take on a vacancy. That's why I had to do 400 a week. Consistency is always easy as well when you have clear targets. So again, if you know your conversions, it's much easier to know if you're achieving. So knowing your numbers, it always helps. Always helps. And also, we can automate and delegate BD. It's very true. As a small team, certainly as a business owner, your time is precious. So you can leverage some simple automation to handle consistency for you. This might be just covering touch points like monthly newsletters, LinkedIn alerts, managing some communications with key clients, sending out referral-based messages if we're going to go back to referral. But the idea is to create a BD engine that keeps running even when you're busy closing deals. And in the world of AI, there's so much cool stuff going on that you can look into. But as we continue to talk about consistency, it's important to notice and recognize here that it's not glamorous. It's a bit like going to the gym, like doing 20 sit-ups daily possibly isn't Instagram worthy, but after months, the results will start to show. And this is the same for sales habits. If you consistently network, consistently ask for referrals, consistently follow up with dormant clients, consistently and passionately keep in touch with your placed candidates and clients, you will build a momentum that smooths out that roller coaster of a workflow. And let's go back to that feast and famine for a second, which I think is the death of many a good recruiter. Feast is when you've got more roles than you can handle and you're feasting on work and likely to be neglecting BD. And famine is when those roles get filled and suddenly you start to hear crickets because no new jobs are coming in. And it's stressful, yeah? One minute you're overwhelmed and the next you're worrying about how to make next quarter's targets. So by building a steady pipeline and by doing these modest actions daily and weekly, you can reduce those dry spells. So your pipeline becomes more of a flowing tap than I don't know, the bath overflowing and it leaking. So a bit of a real world check here. Make it sustainable. If daily outreach feels impossible when you're busy, then aim for something that you can maintain. So if I said don't start your delivery till 10 o'clock every single day and you went, yeah, I can't do that, Jane, then aim for something that you can. Maybe 2 days a week are BD days, or you always reserve your Friday for client development. Systems beat willpower. For example, I know one 2-person recruitment agency that set up every Wednesday morning for team sales sprints. They turn off phones. They're not allowed to talk to candidates. They pop some music on. They hammer out a list of follow-ups and they outreach for 2 hours and they hold each other accountable. The result, their pipeline stays full and they've nearly eliminated the famine quarter that used to hit them every year when they got complacent. I have no doubt that they will achieve that in 2026. So to sum up this segment, consistency is king. Even if you start small, build habits that keep your business development wheels turning steadily. The ROI might not be obvious tomorrow, but a few months from now, you will see more inbound inquiries, more repeat clients, and feel more or less panic. A sign that I have above my desk is champions don't do extraordinary things. They do ordinary things extraordinarily well. Regular routine sales activities. Those ordinary things done well, they will set your small agency apart. But I did promise as well that we would talk a little bit about the psychological and the operational barriers. So what's really stopping you from doing all of this? So let's get candid a bit about those inner demons and that daily chaos that can sabotage your sales effort. So let's switch gears and talk about the common barriers that recruitment business owners face in BD. So if you've been nodding along so far and thinking, yeah, I should do that, but why don't I? This part is definitely for you. And a bit of a spoiler, you're not lazy, you're not clueless, but what you're up against is part psychology and part operation. So let's unpack them. So psychological barriers. Most business owners that I work with tend to be the rainmaker or the lead salesperson in their agency. Business owners struggle to find time to make a sales call. And actually, a lot of recruiters nowadays struggle to do anything that is selling. In fact, I heard somebody say recently, I'd rather do anything, Jane, than make a sales call. And this is not uncommon in our market. Sales reluctance is incredibly common. Again, I'm going to give you some data because data's cool. A recent study showed that 42% of sales professionals, so people whose full-time job is sales, cite that prospecting for new clients was the hardest part of the job. So these are the pros. So if you're a busy recruitment owner and you feel the same way, the fear of hearing no or that discomfort of cold outreach can be a real obstacle. So how do we overcome this mental block if we know that we are the bottleneck in our business, that we're not doing the BD? Mindset shift. Reframe sales from selling something to helping somebody. As a recruiter, you solve problems. You help companies find talent and help people find jobs. I loved this part of being a recruiter because I could help businesses grow and I could help people work in careers and for companies that gave them joy. In recruitment, we are not double glazing salespeople. We offer genuine value. And if we start to think of it in that mindset, the fear of selling goes away because you stop thinking about it as performance or manipulation or conning somebody. Instead, we think of selling as sharing your expertise, as serving and helping your customer. So when you approach a prospect, you're not begging for work. You are a consultant. And please lean into that part of the job title. You are a consultant who can ease their hiring pain. And that subtle shift in thinking can start to boost your confidence. I also want to remind you that if you get rejected, it's not personal and it's not forever. No often just means not right now and not under these circumstances. When we get a no, we stay in touch. We keep it friendly. We persist and we follow up. And we remember that no never means never. It just means not yet. And adopting this attitude can really remove that sting of rejection. Now, another psychological hurdle, and I spoke about this on my coaching calls today, is imposter syndrome. Maybe you're a newer business. Maybe you've not been on the tools for a while. Maybe you've got a team who've got imposter syndrome, and you might be thinking, why would this client take me seriously? To counter this, I want you to remember your wins and expertise. So what have you done when you've done it well? You've filled roles, you've had industry knowledge. How many candidates have you interviewed in the last 12 months compared to the clients that you serve? I guarantee you will have done hundreds more. Why is your recruitment business good? Small is often advantageous in recruitment. You can offer personal, high-touch services that big firms can't. If you need to, prepare some case studies of successes to remind yourself and your prospects that you can deliver, because confidence comes from clarity on the value that you provide. Now, even if we conquer the mental game, there's still some practical barriers. The life of a small business owner is busy. It's that classic working on the business versus working in the business. So I just want to touch very briefly on some common operational issues and how to address them. So the time crunch. You're filling jobs, you're chasing references, you're firefighting issues, you're dealing with staff. It's so easy, isn't it, for BD to slip? And this solution is partly what we discussed in the contingency part about scheduling and systems. You've got to treat BD as a must do, not a nice to do. And then the urgent daily tasks will start to mold around it. Also consider ROI. Spending 10, 15% of your week on BD is an investment in future revenue. If you absolutely cannot spare the time because you're swamped, then that's a sign that you need to hire or outsource something. So protecting BD time might mean temporarily doing less of something else, but we need to find solutions for those other things. I remember once on a day that I didn't want to do BD, if I'm absolutely honest, but I did everything else. I posted thank you letters to clients. I did some admin. I sorted out my desk so it was all beautiful and tidy. I did all the things that actually somebody of my expertise and pay grade should not be doing. We create solutions for those problems. Most of the small business owners that I see are bogged down in admin, still writing job ads, learning how to use AI to do some of the mundane stuff, scheduling interviews, updating their database well into the evening. All of that busy style work can crowd out sales time and, quite frankly, be draining to the point where you don't feel like going into sales mode. This is where technology and delegation can save the day. So automation at this point in the world of 2026 is not a buzzword. It can absolutely liberate you here. I am now working with clients who are using AI to build out how their CVs are sent to clients in a matter of seconds. They're creating profiles that have been ran through automation and built in with a style that works fantastically for their clients. So I would start to think about systemizing your operations, automating what you can, outsourcing, bringing in people whose job it is to be specialists in these areas. As soon as I hired myself an administrator years ago, my life changed dramatically, because there are only so many hours in the day, and we want you working on your high level tasks. Now, one final point when we start to talk about operational pressures is cash flow. This is a less talked about barrier, but it's also very, very real. If your business is tight on cash, you might feel pressurized to prioritize immediate revenue. So working on any job over longer term business development, which might not pay off for months. Now that is a tough balance, and the only remedy is to consciously allocate some energy to building future pipeline, even when you need revenue now, and focusing on those quality clients. And this is a whole other podcast on its own, and something we spend a lot of time in Rocket coaching and developing people on, but saying no to low value roles. But I don't want to not discuss this in this podcast. If you do have cash flow pressures, I hear you. You want to deliver on stuff first. However, we're just guaranteeing that we're going to follow that same vicious circle. It is a bit of a chicken and egg, but don't let chasing today's pound completely derail earning tomorrow's. To wrap up the barrier session, remember that awareness is half the battle. If fear of rejection is stopping you from calling your prospects, tackle it with a mindset of change or practice. If you know it's poor organisation that's leading to feast or famine, impose some structure. And if you are simply over capacity, then automate or delegate. Good. Okay. So let's just regroup what we've talked about today. We've talked about this whole theory of coming into a new year with business development at the forefront of our game. 2025 was challenging. We've also talked about, actually, are we making it harder for ourselves? You know, we screaming cold calling when actually we need to scream networking. Have we processed how we can ask for warm business? And if we haven't, what's the action that we need to take? Have we also recognized as well when we're going feast or famine? Have we recognized that sometimes we can be the bottleneck in our business? And are we looking to change that? Hopefully you are. For me, the biggest results we get within our industry, and when it comes to BD, we get it from consistency. And we've obviously talked about that a lot today. In fact, let me recap the whole journey, because as you all know, sometimes I go a bit rogue when I'm sat in a room chatting to myself. Right, putting it all together and getting started from now. Referrals are your best friend. They convert better and faster, and they drive a huge portion of new business into our industry. Ask for them, reward your team for them, integrate them into your strategy. Consistency. This is what turns sporadic success into sustained growth. Build pipeline habits. Set up systems to stay on track. And remember that even 30 minutes a day of business development can separate you from competitors who only do it when they feel like it. Having a clear, consistent sales process can absolutely accelerate your growth significantly. That effort will compound. Barriers. They'll always exist. Time, fear, comfort of sticking to delivery rather than selling. But now you've got some tools to tackle those. Reframe your mindset. You're helping. You're not selling. Automate grunt work. Maybe even have a bit of a giggle at your own reluctance to break its power over you. You're not alone in finding this challenging, but you absolutely can overcome it. Absolutely can overcome it. So, before I sign off for the day, and thank you very much for listening, here's a few action steps that you may want to think about. So, write down 3 clients or contacts that you can reach out to today for a referral. Get your team to do the same. That one call could open a door. Block out some time on your calendar this week and the next and the next. Dedicated solely to BD. Protect that time like a client meeting. Identify one operational pain point that's eating your time. Maybe it's CV screening, interview scheduling, and explore a tool or a process to streamline it. Challenge yourself and your team to a consistency challenge. That one habit has to become consistent. Remember, small recruitment businesses have big advantages. You're agile, you can offer personal services. You often get business simply because clients like dealing with a boutique, because they like dealing with you. Clients are looking for your personal touch. They're looking to help you grow through referrals. They're looking to work with people that do regular check-ins. New business development doesn't have to be scary. It doesn't have to be sporadic. When referrals fuel you, good habits guide you, and we shrug off those barriers, you will actually find that BD can be enjoyable, dare I say, empowering. There's nothing quite like the moment in recruitment when you realise your pipeline's healthy and you're driving the business instead of the business driving you. So, thank you for listening. I hope that has given you a bit of a kicker to get going into this year. I was going to go a little bit cheesy. I'll do it anyway. What I used to say is, that classic ABC. Everybody knows it as always be closing. Actually, I'm going to change it to always be connecting. I apologise. But use your network, use your knowledge, and go make those connections that will become your next clients. As always, if you are looking to grow and scale your recruitment business this year, I would love to help you grow and scale your recruitment business this year. There's nothing that I like doing more. Please do drop a note in the comments or get in touch with us through the webpage. We'll put all the links down below. But here's to happy hunting in 2026, and I will speak to you soon.